Welcome to the Book of Life, a show about Jewish people and the books we read, the music we listen to, and the movies we watch. I'm Heidi Estrin. The Book of Life is a podcast service of the Feldman Library at Congregation B'nai Israel in Boca Raton, Florida. In this April 2006 episode of our podcast, we celebrate the holiday of Passover. Any one of the books or CDs you hear mentioned on this show would make a terrific Afikoman gift for the kids at your Seder. Check our website for age recommendations. On our show, we'll talk to author Jean Marzolo about her Bible stories and to Shira Klein about her brand new CD, Shir Lala Pesach. Anna Oswanger will tell us about her zany Passover story, Shlomiel Crooks. And Steve Brodsky of Ma Tovu will talk about the enduring popularity of the song Pharaoh, Pharaoh. Finally, just in time to get dressed up for Passover, CVI student Brittany Paris will report on the Yarmulke Kippah Koppel book with a little help from Rabbi Robert Silvers. So loosen your belt and get ready for a podcast feast. Jean Marzolo is the author of over 100 books for children, including the I Spy series and the Shana books. In the last few years, she has been adapting Bible stories and doing her own illustrations for the first time. We spoke to her by phone about Miriam and Her Brother Moses, published by Little Brown in 2003. Jean, can you talk a little bit about Miriam and Her Brother Moses?
Miriam, when you think about her, what did she do? She came up with this great idea to enable her mother to be able to raise her own baby in the princess's care. That's just a wonderfully proactive child.
Why is this ancient story still important to share with children today?
There's a reason why these stories are great. You know, I say to kids today, think of your most popular story today that you love. You know, will that be around 3,500 years from now? I don't think so. Will these stories be around? I think so.
What changes did you need to make to the original story in order to adapt it into a picture book?
I just looked for concrete details that I knew kids could understand. I put in a lot of dramatic play elements. They were actually written almost like plays, and I want children to be able to take different parts and act them out, and they really do like to do that. I have these little critters at the bottom of all of my Bible story books. They just are in a border at the bottom, and they talk about the story. I invented them because I want a discussion in these books. I want children to feel they can ask questions and make comments on the story. And I put in funny things because kids love that. And I put in music because kids love that. And the craving of children to learn moral education. They want to know how to behave in this world. And these stories are great for that. And then these stories have unbelievable drama and excitement, jeopardy in them. So kids like that. They pay attention.
You are not Jewish yourself, but the books work well with Jewish readers, and the series has even received recognition from the Association of Jewish Libraries. Daniel and the Lion's Den and Ruth and Naomi both received silver medals from the Sidney Taylor Book Awards. Why did you feel it was important to reach beyond only Christian readers?
These stories belong to Christians and Jews, and some of them, like Jonah, to Muslims too. The Bible is so amazing. It's a book that can be used to inspire us in times of war, and it can be used to inspire us in times of peace, especially now in the world we're living in. These books, I hope, will be part of the healing too.
Jean Marzolo, thanks so much for talking with us about your Bible stories.
You're very welcome, Heidi. It's been a pleasure.
Shira Klein's Shir Lala CDs feature outrageously hip Jewish kiddie rock. For a taste of her new Shir Lala Pesach CD, we spoke to Shira by phone at her home in Brooklyn, New York. Shira, tell us about your new album, Shir Lala Pesach.
This is the third album in the Shir Lala holiday series. I'm really excited to be able to put these albums out. The holidays are just that good, and the stories are so good, and they're really singable and danceable, and should just really have a joyful time. So that's what these albums really are about, is joy and love and, learning how to pray and open up your heart.
How do you make classic old songs like Dayenu new again?
These songs are so fun. We tap into the part of these songs that you just love so much. And then we open up our imaginations and go with it. So this Dayenu is a bit of Dixieland Dayenu. We use washboard. And I like to remember why I loved it as a child and then kind of exaggerate that and expound on that.
Your recordings are all for kids, but do you sing adult music as well?
Well, the recordings are for kids and their families. So the recordings begin generally with early childhood music, but then about midway through they pass into the same music that I would put on an adult album for that holiday, because I'm really engaged in whole family education. The adult work that I do is I am a service leader, and I do sacred music and Jewish meditation, and I also work with this wonderful theater company called Storytelling.
How did you get into the music business?
My dad, who is a rabbi, played Middle Eastern drums and flutes, and my mother was a modern dancer. So I grew up listening to records from Israeli folk festivals, Hasidic folk festivals, Debbie Friedman, just constantly dancing around the house. There was a song for everything. We sang everything at home. And when I moved to Louisiana when I was about 13 or 14 years old, my father and I ran a little school together because there were no teachers. So I started teaching music around age 14. The way it became a business for me was that I started doing holiday sing-alongs, mostly to recreate the fun that I had growing up with the holidays. And then after every sing-along, parents just came running up. They had to get in the car with like 15 children and said, "Where's the CD? We need to put the CD onto the car right away." And that's when it really became a business, doing concerts around the country and things like that.
Shira, would you sing a little bit of something from Shir Lala Pesach for us?
Absolutely. I'm going to sing a little bit from the song Elijah Rock. This is one of my favorite songs from childhood because the moment of opening the door for Elijah was so mystical. What a great part of the Seder for children. It really works the imagination, you know. And then this is a song about Elijah was something I learned at summer camp. It was like everybody's favorite song. So to put it on this album was really a treat for me. And it goes like this. Children of Israel worked in the land until they were freed by God's own hand. I know I would if I only could just stand on the rock where Moses stood, singing, Elijah Rock, shout, shout. Elijah Rock, coming up, Lord. Elijah Rock, shout, shout, shout. Elijah Rock, coming up, Lord.
That was so much fun.
This is one of my favorites, and I wrote additional verses that would get us through like the whole Exodus story in this song.
Shira Klein, it's been a delight to talk to you, and I want to wish you a happy Passover.
Thank you so much, and Chag Sameach to you too, Heidi.
Singing Elijah Rock, shout, 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 Elijah Rock, coming up, Lord.
Anna Olswanger is the author of Schlemiel Crooks, published by Junebug Books in 2005. This hilarious Yiddish-style story is based on her own family history and takes place in St. Louis in 1919, when two incompetent crooks try to steal a shipment of Passover wine. We spoke to Anna by phone at her home in New Jersey. Anna, tell us about Schlemiel Crooks. First of all, what is a Schlemiel Crook?
The Yiddish newspaper article I based the story on mentioned an attempted robbery on my great-grandfather's kosher wine store. The neighbors woke up. The crooks got scared. They ran away, but not only did they not get the kosher wine and liquor, but they left the horse and wagon. So they left with less than they came with. The crooks are Schlemiels. They can't seem to do anything right. What's interesting is that the article did not use the word schlemiel. It used the word schlemazel. In Yiddish, the schlemazel gets the soup spilled on him, the schlemiel spills the soup. And I thought schlemiel would have a wider appeal, so that's why I picked that for the title.
The Yiddish voice of the story is laugh out loud funny. Can you do the accent?
No.
No?
I grew up in the South, so I actually have a Southern accent. But I certainly grew up, hearing enough accents to know how I wanted that to sound.
This is your first picture book, and right out of the gate, you won a silver medal from the Association of Jewish Libraries Sidney Taylor Book Award. What was that like?
where I am now in the book world as a literary agent, I see books from a very commercial point of view. I see, what editors do, what publishers do, what authors try to do. And AJL is one of the few organizations that really cares about the book and the child. And it's not whether the book sells. It's just simply finding the right book for the right Jewish child. And I think that has such integrity that I think anybody who wins an award from AJL should just be really proud.
Are you planning other picture books?
Yes, my next picture book is also based on genealogy research. This one will be based on my father, who was a pianist and a composer. He grew up in Memphis, and the book juxtaposes his love of blues music with, being a little Jewish boy in the South. My father wrote music, so in the back it'll have an original piece of music that I've incorporated into the story. It's called Chicken Bun Man.
Anna Alswanger, thank you so much for talking with us.
Oh, Heidi, thank you. It's my pleasure.
Steve Brodsky is one of the founders of the band Ma Tovu, which performs contemporary Jewish music across the country. Their hit single, Pharaoh, Pharaoh, has been incredibly popular since it was introduced in 1997. We spoke to Steve about the phenomenal staying power of this song by phone at his home in Denver, Colorado.
A burning bush told me just the other day.
Steve, how did you come to write Pharaoh, Pharaoh?
Well, actually, we didn't write Pharaoh, Pharaoh. One of my partners in Matovu, Yoshi Zweiback, had a roommate in college who had been a song leader at a fundamentalist Christian Bible camp. And this guy taught Yoshi this song. We've since found out that Pharaoh, Pharaoh, in a slightly different version, is hugely popular in Christian youth groups and Christian youth camps. But Yoshi liked the song and changed the words a little bit, and we introduced it to the Jewish world, but we can't take credit for writing it.
It's based on Louie Louie, isn't that right?
It is. It's a parody of a famous song from the late 50s called Louie Louie. I read somewhere that other than the Beatles' Yesterday, Louie Louie is the song that has been covered the most by other artists. In fact, there's a great website where it gives all these wild versions, like William Shatner, Captain Kirk did a version of Louie Louie. And actually our lyrics to Pharaoh, Pharaoh appear on that site as one of the really different and interesting versions of the song.
The song has been such a runaway hit. What do you think has been the secret of its success?
Oh, it's just fun. People get up and dance. There's the motions that go with it. When we perform it live, we throw in a little bit of the Beatles' Twist and Shout. We throw in a little bit of Wild Thing. It never fails. We always know that at that point of the show, everybody will be up on their feet, dancing and singing, and it's just fun. A number of years ago at a Cage conference at Stanford University in Palo Alto, California, it was really the first big performance that we had, and this is a gathering of adult Jewish educators, rabbis and cantors and school principals and teachers, not kids. And all of these people were standing on their chairs with their hands over their heads, singing at the top of their lungs. They just went nuts. The place went wild. That was probably the first time that we really knew we had a big hit on our hands. There was another time when we were in Madison, Wisconsin. They had a small crowd, and nobody told us until afterwards that many of the people who were in the audience were recent Russian immigrants who didn't speak very much English. But even those people were all on their feet, singing and doing the dance, and it was pretty fun.
How many times would you guess you've performed Pharaoh, Pharaoh?
Oh, several hundred times. We've sold several hundred copies of our CD, and it's really great to hear that people use it in their seders. It's just really fun to know that at this time of the year around Passover that lots and lots of people are singing it and enjoying it, hopefully learning something from it as well.
Steve Brodsky, thanks so much for talking with us about Ma Tovu and Pharaoh, Pharaoh.
You're welcome. Everyone have a wonderful Pesach.
Pharaoh, whoa, baby, let my people go.
Congregation B'nai Israel student Brittany Paris reviews the Yarmulke, Kippah, Koppel book by Rivka Friedman, published in 1998 by Chachai. Following Brittany's review, CBI's Rabbi Robert Silvers gives us some insight into the history of this special headgear.
Hi, I'm Brittany Harris. I am a third grade student. I read a book called The Yarmulke, the Kippah, and the Koppel book. This book had a little boy, and he was always proud to wear his yarmulke. A kippah is worn to show God is above all of us. At the beginning of the book, they showed you a little picture of a yarmulke. It says that this is a yarmulke, a kippah, and a koppel. Whenever you see this, say whatever word you like to call it. My family calls a yarmulke a kippah. They think kippah sounds better than yarmulke and koppel. But before, we didn't even know what a koppel really was, because we never heard that. I recommend this book to little kids ages 1 through 4.
A lot of people don't know, but the yarmulke is not a mitzvah. There is no place in the Torah or the Bible that tells us to put on a yarmulke or kippah. It's not until the Talmudic times that the rabbis started talking about wearing a head covering to be humbled before God. The kippah provides us a sense of awe, a sense of humility, a sense of always feeling that God is there. The source for the different terms. Well, kippah is modern Hebrew, so that means head covering or skull cap. Yarmulke, in my search, I found two possibilities. One is from the Turkish word yarmuk, which means raincoat, but more likely from the Aramaic yira malka, 2 words which mean awe of the king, referring to God. And koppel, I don't know. It's a term I'm not familiar with. I've never heard the yarmulke or the kippah referred to as the koppel. My guess would be that it's probably Yiddish.
Don't go away yet. We've got a bonus track coming up right after the credits. If you'd like to express your opinion on our show about a particular book, CD, or video owned by the Feldman Library, email me, Heidi Estrin, at heidi@cbiboca.org. That's HEIDI@cbiboca.org. Our background music is provided by the Freilich Makers Klezmer String Band from Sacramento, California, whose CDs feature upbeat music from the Ashkenazic and Sephardic traditions with Brazilian, Gypsy, and Celtic influences. Borrow their CDs at the Feldman Library or buy your own copies at freilichmakers.com. To download episodes of the Book of Life podcast, visit us on the web at jewishbooks.blogspot.com. That's jewishbooks, one word, .blogspot.com. Links to the books and CDs mentioned in the show are available on this website. To take us out, we have a bonus track from the brand new CD, Pesach Shtick, a collection of family Passover songs and parodies by CBI's cantor Stephanie Shore, music director Susan Shane Linder, and congregant Deborah Silver. Borrow it from the Feldman Library or buy your own copy by emailing cantorshore@cbiboca.org. Thanks for listening, everybody, and happy reading!
He made us work. Now we tell a story in my Haggadah. Never gonna stop, give it up. Such an evil king, always getting rough with a bunch of my Jewish kids.